Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, it is Wednesday, July the 3rd, and it is time for what I suppose I will now have to call Mullinger's Bi-Weekly Ramble, because yes, indeed, it has been 2 weeks since the last episode. Fear not, though, it is still Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. It is just that last week I had what was, now I know I say every single episode that I've just had the busiest week of my entire life, but this time it really was the busiest week because it was so busy I didn't even have time to record this beautiful podcast with you lovely people. And so sincerely, I've missed you. I suppose we could call this a special Canada Day week double episode. Who knows if it's going to be a double episode? I'm hoping I'm not going to drone on and indeed ramble for a full 2 hours, but we will see. I hope you all had an amazing Canada Day this week. Canada Day. It's so hard to say. Canada Day, isn't it? As someone that loves Canada and a proud new Canadian, of course, everyone I see for the past week, I'm like, have a lovely Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. But why does it come out like that? Canada Day. Why didn't we come up with a better way? I don't know. Is it just me that has trouble saying it? Is it just my mouth that can't wrap its way around Canada Day? Happy Canada Day. Anyway. This is not Mullinger's bi-weekly ramble. It's Mullinger's weekly ramble. Still, we're gonna be back on track. We're gonna be doing this weekly. Bi-weekly is a strange word, isn't it? Because bi-weekly, confusingly, means both every 2 weeks and also twice a week. You can use it for both. So when you say something's bi-weekly, no one knows. Well, is it happening twice a week? Is it happening every 2 weeks? Of course, bi-weekly, when you use it for every 2 weeks, doesn't really make sense because that's fortnightly. So, I mean, again, so I guess my joke should have been Mullinger's fortnightly ramble. Anyway, point being, been a busy week. Sorry for not speaking to you last week. I'm here now. I'm going to fill you in on everything I've been doing. I'm going to answer all of your questions, and thank you for those. I sincerely mean, I hope you had a wonderful Canada Day. It's always a special day for me. I spent it here in Rothesay, where there was wonderful festivities on the Commons. There was so many fun things. There was bouncy castles. Thousands of people. There was bands playing. I had an amazing Canada Day lunch at my favourite Garden Grove Cafe. Yes, I did have a donair with chocolate milk. For those of you that have watched the Dairy Farmers of New Brunswick videos that I have been sharing, having produced those with the brilliant Tyler Warren Ellis. When I went into Garden Grove on Canada Day, they made my Canada Day very special by telling me that they've had dozens of people coming in the past week asking for the donair, having watched these videos, and indeed asking for a big old pint of chocolate milk to go with them. So lovely to see that my love and worship of donairs with chocolate milk has led to an influx of people going out to enjoy those that delicious food pairing. Thank you for all the messages and shares on those dairy and videos. I think we're going to be doing more of them. So if you enjoy watching me stuff food combined with dairy products down my throat while shouting dairy and you're in luck. If you have despised seeing and hearing that, I apologise, because there's going to be more coming, I believe. But thank you to Michelle and everyone at Dairy Farmers of New Brunswick for being such a joy to work with. One of my highlights of Canada Day was, in addition to the donair and the festivities in Rothesay, was that in London, in Trafalgar Square, right by the Canadian Embassy, also known as Canada House, there was a huge, as they always have, big Canada Day celebrations, big screens. They had Alan Doyle performing live on stage, and they had video messages from all of the Canadian royalty icons of this great country. They had Michael Bublé, they had the Alanis Morissette, they had the Jan Arden, they had the Nancy Reagan, and indeed they had this limey wanker on the big screen. Yes, thanks to Nancy Reagan. I got to do a video with Nancy for Canada Day, and I had no idea how many friends, both British and Canadian, were in Trafalgar Square enjoying the Canada Day celebrations in London, because my phone was blowing up on Monday with people sending me videos and pictures of Trafalgar Square and the big screen and me and Nancy on the screen. So that was a really lovely, wonderful way to spend Canada Day. So let me talk you through what, as many of you know, my father was here last week, his first time to New Brunswick, and indeed his first time to New Brunswick since we first moved here 10 years ago. So there was a lot to cover, and I'm going to go through all of it. So before I track through, I don't know, the beautiful weather has been a joy to behold. However, it has led me to waking up and having the most bizarre, terrible dreams. I guess like most people, I have dreams somewhat regularly. I tend to have dreams like bad dreams before a gig that I'm really nervous about, and the dream is inevitably me bombing or some nightmare occurring, like me trying to get to the gig and not being able to get there. And it's a weird thing because when I'm performing in a venue that I've not performed in before, my brain forms a visual of what that venue looks like, and a very detailed, precise one, so that the brain can then conjure up a nightmare in which I bomb horribly in that room, and my career is completely over. The brain's nice like that. Thank you, brain. Thank you, brain, for always finding ways to make me, even if you're not telling me what a piece of shit I am during the day, nice to kind of, seep into the sleeping hours too. And what's weird is that invariably after I've gone and done the gig, in my brain, obviously I now know what the venue actually looks like, but in my head I still have a very clear visual of how I imagined it looking too. So it's like my brain has two completely parallel universes in it, it feels like something out of Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Great movie that I believe they're remaking. No, they did remake it. They did remake it with Colin Farrell, probably like 5 years ago. That's how out of date I am. Anyway, so maybe some days, maybe when I'm older and I'm in a senior's home, maybe my brain will be formed solely of memories that I conjured up in panic-stricken, anxious dreams before gigs, and I will think that that was my actual life rather than the real life. This is getting way too meta for 5 minutes into a podcast, especially after you've been waiting 2 weeks for this. I don't think you've been waiting for. I don't think you've all been sitting around going, "Oh my goodness, my week just wasn't the same without Mullinger's weekly ramble." I'm aware. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know what I always do. I always start with a profound, not a profound. I like profound with a mantra, a thought for the day. And luckily, often I have mantras to share that my friend Chris Hatter sent me. I have one here in a frame right in front of me. It is a quote from John Quincy Adams, and the reason it is in a frame is that it was gifted to me at the Southwest Business Summit, which I was at last week. I was performing at last week at the Algonquin Resort, and I so wish I could have attended every single seminar, lecture, workshop, event they were doing. But I was there at the Algonquin with my father, first time in New Brunswick in 10 years, and my uncle, Louis, and godfather, who I haven't seen in possibly 15 or 20 years. This was his first ever trip to Canada, ever. And he was only able to be there for 2.5, 3 days because he has to have dialysis every 3 days. And he lives in North Carolina. So he basically took 2 planes from North Carolina to Bangor, had dialysis at the hospital there, drove into St. Andrews. We had 3 beautiful days reuniting, and then he went back. Anyway, we had this trip planned for a couple of years. And then out of the blue, I got a booking to perform at what was initially, I think, called the Charlotte County Business Summit, but ended up being called the Southwest Business Summit. And I was booked by an amazing human being by the name of Hannah Levitt, who orchestrated this unbelievably successful Southwest Business Summit for New Brunswick business leaders, for entrepreneurs, for just anyone really that is like myself, trying to do business in New Brunswick. So anyway, I'm going to get to more of this later, but anyway, one of the amazing, every single detail that Hannah Levitt and her team came up with was just absolutely spot on, like the branding, the organization. It was just really wonderful. I mean, I attend and perform at a lot of conferences around the world. Some of them are global, some of them are national, some of them are provincial, some of them are one particular state or county in England. I've rarely performed at one where it was the inaugural one, the first one, and every single person is buzzing and just full of positivity about how exemplary the organization was, how amazing the workshops were, the seminars were, just the whole. Anyway, the quote, one of these little details, they gave out goodie bags, and in it was a beautiful frame that I'm staring at right now, and it has a quote from John Quincy Adams, and it says, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." Isn't that lovely? If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. And I guess this is the thing. A leader isn't someone that, tries to overthrow a government or, organize a riot in a, in a leader is, someone that essentially makes anyone else feel good about themselves and make them want to do something. So you're all leaders. And Hannah Levitt is certainly a leader. And she inspired me in many, many ways, which I'm going to get to in chronological fashion, because I don't want to be going all over the place like I normally do. July the 1st, Canada Day. Canada Day was also the day that actually Princess Diana would have been 63 years old. And it's amazing now when you think about how young 63 is and how we all have friends and family in their 60s and 70s and indeed 80s who have this incredible quality of life, especially if they live in Atlantic Canada or indeed anywhere in Canada. And to think of what Princess Diana could have done in those years since. And I watched a very, very sad video, which heartwarming, beautiful video of Princess Diana arriving to pick up Prince Harry from school and seeing the excitement in both of their faces. And food for thought. Anyway, sorry, where was I? Terrible dreams. So I woke up this morning. I had a terrible dream. I've had a lot recently. Growing up, like most people, I had that classic dream a lot growing up where I was on the run for a murder I didn't commit. I guess I watched a lot of movies. That's possibly where that came from. But these last few days, I've been having the most bizarre dreams. What was last night's? I mean, again, a lot of them are around the concept of bombing at gigs. But like last night's was, I'm at the top of this. I'm scared of heights, so I'm at the top of this huge building, and I need to get down stairs to the gig, and the only way down is a very precarious, height, vertical drop that most people are able to do, but because I'm nervous and I'm aware that they're one wrong step and I'm dead, and I can't get down. That was one of them. Another one, I think people were out to get me. Anyway, sometimes I wish that's when the ADHD gets too much. When during the day it's bad enough that I can't switch the brain off. And there's very, very few moments that my brain isn't firing on all cylinders, right? Maybe sitting on a beach, closing your eyes. I mean, the phone doesn't help. Really, you do have to remove the phone from the situation. But my brain is constantly going in a million different directions. And it kind of does suck when it's coming into your sleeping thoughts as well. But anyway, on to more positive things. Doesn't matter about me. There's been lots of good things. I mean, talk about a wonderful Canada Day celebration. 2 New Brunswickers over the weekend were selected during the 2024 NHL draft in Las Vegas, which is obviously a huge thing. Riverview's Spencer Gill, who I believe plays in the Quebec Maritimes. How does that work? Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League. How does that work? You're either in Quebec or you're in the Maritimes. Anyway, don't know what it means. Maybe it means Quebec by the water. But he was picked 59th overall by the Philadelphia Flyers. So congratulations to Riverview Spencer Gill. And Gabe Smith, who I have seen play. He is the pride of St. Andrews. St. Andrews. Oh, by the way, I should point out, St. Andrews knows how to do Canada Day. Oh my goodness. Does Brad Henderson go all out? I was there last week and just seeing the lineup of things that St. Andrews had, then seeing the pictures. I believe they did tragically have a power cut, which must just have been tragic and awful for businesses that had been building up for that. But if you're looking for somewhere to spend Canada Day next year, let me tell you, St. Andrews by the Sea is the spot. Brad Henderson and his team go all out. So anyway, Gabe Smith, who I've seen play for Moncton Wildcats a few times. He was picked 103rd, but he was by the Utah Hockey Club. A massive, massive deal. My son has met, I believe, goes to school with Gabe Smith's brother. But what a great thing! What a great thing for New Brunswick. So get up, go online, find Spencer Gill, Gabe Smith, follow them, support them. I actually know Jeff Lewis, who's a great teacher, coach, who coached Gabe Smith during his grade 10 season with the RNS under 18 team. And I read a quote online that Jeff Lewis had said about Gabe. He said, Gabe was a super passionate kid, always wanted to be in the rink, always wanted to be in the gym and shooting pucks, getting on the ice and working on his skill. Just really loved the game. Jeff Lewis is a great man, great coach. And Gabe Smith, you should watch some of his performances online. Truly phenomenal. Congratulations to them. What have I watched over the weekend? I completed season 4 Stranger Things with my son River. Did quite a marathon, like a 4-hour marathon of Stranger Things. I wasn't feeling very well. I was a bit run down after my dad had gone. Kate Bush is running up the hill. Can't watch that without crying now. You can't listen to that song without crying anytime. Also watched truly Netflix. I'm sure you've heard that Netflix are introducing that you need to pay if you don't want ads. I mean, Jesus Christ, like, how have we let this happen? How do we let these evil streaming networks destroy network TV, destroy terrestrial television, as we call it in England, drag us away from the traditional model with a promise of no ads, and then gradually, slowly jack up the prices, gradually, slowly churn out more and more shit, and then now we're going to be paying a premium to not have ads, which obviously we're not going to do, unless only the people that can run these networks can afford to do this, to pay more for this crap. So I looked at it, and it was like, my goodness, Netflix, the top 10, it was just a shower of shite, like a 10-year-old straight-to-video Willem Dafoe movie, the second Despicable Me movie. I mean, all good movies, don't get me wrong, and I'm not disparaging any of these things, but just all out of date, like bargain basement stuff that you would have seen in the Circle K 99-cent box on DVD. And number one was a new movie, which I do not, and again, I don't like slagging things off, but here we go. A Family Affair with Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron, the identical plot to an Anne Hathaway movie from last month, i.e. in the case of the Anne Hathaway movie, it was like a supposedly older woman with a younger guy. And the younger guy was some frightful British Harry Styles wannabe. In this one, it's Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman, who I think it's middle-aged is charitable. Unfortunately, I mean, it's hard to say because she has had, I'm not going to Google her age, but the point is she has had so much plastic surgery and refuses to eat anything just so she can create a highly dangerous body ideal that is just unrealistic for any human being, and just clearly is. I mean, again, there were so many eating disorders in the world. I cannot believe that people are allowed to go out. But seeing the combination of Zac Efron's plastic surgery, oh my goodness, how has this young, gorgeous man had so much plastic surgery? He looks like George Hamilton. He looks like Zac Efron looks like an 60-year-old man that has had so much work done, and instead he's probably 30, 35. Nicole Kidman is probably in her 50s and would probably be incredibly beautiful if she had no work and ate food. Oh my God, I came across the most bizarre thing in Indigo last week. A Giselle Bundchen cookbook. How can a woman that doesn't eat make a cookbook? But it was called something like Nutritious or Nourishing, and the front cover was a picture of Skeletor herself standing there, and it's like standing in front of a plate of lettuce. It's like a cookbook. And on today's episode of Giselle Bundchen's Cookery Show, we're going to pull a piece of lettuce and put it on a plate and eat the piece of lettuce. Even a rabbit would be looking at this going, no, seriously, like, I want some of my little corny bits. I want a carrot. Anyway, I mean, again, I don't want to, and again, I understand that part of the body, in body positivity has to work both ways, and I'm not disparaging people's, and we're all different. That's the thing. We're all different. I just don't appreciate people starving themselves and then pretending that that's not what they're doing. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Anyways, so the love scenes between Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron were literally, I mean, again, I don't want to be rude, but they were vomit-inducing. So it was, I hadn't felt so ill since watching the Trump-Biden debate. Oh my goodness. The Trump-Biden debate. I mean, how and what and, I mean, how did this even happen? Just did you not get that? It was like watching the Oilers game, the sinking feeling. Oilers game. Hats off to the Oilers. I mean, I know the Oilers game. It was we call the Oilers game. It was an amazing thing. They played amazingly. We were all as Canadians rooting for the Oilers. But essentially, the way we were kind of looking at that as Canadians was it was kind of, let's face it, it was America versus Canada, wasn't it? And how amazing, how incredible are these teams that you can have these two teams and the goal is only the final score is only 2-1, which was the score, I believe, less than halfway through the game. Like, how amazing are these athletes out on the ice that the puck just doesn't go in any net for half the game. So yes, watching that game, I did start just to get that sinking feeling, rather like the Trump-Biden debate. I mean, you have to pick what's your worst moment. Was it Biden when he kind of started to look like a Muppet with that just kind of 1,000-yard stare? He looked like he'd taken mushrooms. When he said we finally beat Medicare, that was one of the most biggest head in the hands moments. And again, I mean, like most people, we all know Biden is basically a good man, and who I believe wants, he's a decent man who wants the best for that country. But who knows at what point ego takes over. I saw some post online where someone posted that it was something like this, that this gentleman said that he is now eligible, this person is now eligible for retirement. So presumably he's in his mid-60s, but he was something like 18 years old when Biden first ran for president. I mean, it's just, so you've got this good person who became this kind of very inconsequential, like president, who communicating is quite an important part of that job, obviously. And all the expectations were low for that debate. There was no, the White House tried to blame a cold. Expectations were rock bottom, and all he had to do was show up and really basically show that his marbles were all there. And unfortunately, that did not happen. And to see Trump's lies go completely unchallenged. I mean, the fact that Trump was able to stand there and say that Democrats believe that babies should be aborted after birth, which isn't abortion, that's actually a murder of a child. And then because the hosts weren't allowed to step in. Anyway, it was all it was not good. So anyway, oh my God, I've been round. I mean, again, let's go day by day. And again, I don't mean to be slanging things off, and I'm starting off quite negatively because I've had, in many ways, an amazing week, an emotional week. So let's go through it all. And I should say, if you want some stand-up to lighten the mood, I have been uploading lots of brand new stand-up clips from my current tour to my YouTube channel, my TikTok channel, including my favourite new routine about Carmen, Manitoba, and why this small town could not get its own Tim Hortons, although I've been pointed out since that it turns out they have now got a Tim's. So either the campaigning worked, or what I would like to think happened, my stand-up routine went so viral that Tim Hortons said, give them a Tim's. So since I last spoke to you all, I believe I was hot-footing it to to PEI after I spoke to you last to do a show, shows at the Small Halls Festival. Truly amazing festival in small halls across PEI. And I did a show with the amazing show-stopping, barnstorming, standing ovation every time Patrick Ledwell and the equally amazing Deb Kimmel. We did a show at the Florence Simmons Theatre, which is not a small hall at all. There's about 350 people in there. What an electric show. Drove up with my son Hunter. We had so much fun. And the following night, we drove... Hunter and I drove to Mill River Resort, where we'd been before. We had a wonderful afternoon, scorching hot sun, hottest day of the year. We played pickleball until we couldn't anymore because it was so hot. What a great sport pickleball is. Pickleball is like a sport for people who can't play sport. I can't play sport, and I know this episode I'm going to be talking a lot about sport between, like I say, the Oilers game, Canada, obviously, is currently playing in Copa America, which my British friends are not impressed that I'm watching because obviously the Euros are going on as well, and England is doing now surprisingly well. We'll get to that. But I'm not a sport player, never was growing up. I associated sport with bullies for the most part. So, but pickleball, what a great sport for people that can't play sport and can't really move very quickly. Whoa, absolutely loving it. Yeah, me and my son had a great time. Massive shout out to everyone at Small Halls, by the way. What a meticulously, beautifully, brilliantly organised festival. So we get to Mill River Resort. Check in. The amazing Catherine Cairns was opening for me. I'm a bit, I'm always nervous before every gig, but I had no idea what it was going to be like. We were doing the gig in a function room. I know other shows have happened at Mill River, but I had no idea what to expect. Anyway, ended up sold out. Josh Ellis, the organizer at Small Halls, hats off, my friend. I had the absolute pleasure of meeting his dad that night, island-wide regarded entrepreneur, businessman, Warren Ellis, which is amazing because obviously my dear friend Tyler Warren Ellis, and Bree, who I was working with at the festival. Thank you, Bree, for everything. Anyway, so this show went spectacularly well. It dawned on me about 5 minutes into the gig. Yeah, this audience has no idea who I like. Not that I'm anyone, but they don't know anything about me. Is the point? It's not that they don't know who I am, because why would they? But they didn't know really my story. So I realized quite quickly, wow, I can kind of really dust off, the classics, so to speak, and really tell my story from scratch, which was really interesting. The show went great. Had a great time at Mill River, but obviously Thursday morning had to get up nice and early and hot-foot it back to Rosse because my father was arriving. So he got up early. He was obviously, in typical way when you now have to fly over the Maritimes to get to the Maritimes. So he was flying from England to Montreal, then Montreal to St. John. We get to St. John Airport. Bump into my friend Tim. He was there to meet his wife, Jen Wood, who is Maritime Edit's senior editor. Amazing journalist, amazing writer, amazing editor. So it's funny. So the second my dad gets off the plane, my dad arrives in New Brunswick for the first time. He's only visited here once before, and it was after we got married in 2006. So he basically hasn't been to New Brunswick in 18 years, and I have never been in New Brunswick with him. So he gets off the plane, of course, instantly. It's like, "Hi, this is Jen." Immediately gets a sign of what it's going to be like for the following week, because he lives in a small town where people know each other, but, not like here where we may as well all be living together. So we get my dad home and, he can't believe the beautiful view. And it was quite, it's an emotional thing. My son River was at his friend's kind of end of elementary school party. So he was having a lot of fun with his friend Claire and all of their school friends. And then my dad came in. We had and we sat down and did something which we never did growing up as a family, and that's watched a soccer game, because obviously Canada were playing Argentina, or to put it another way, Alphonso Davies versus Lionel Messi. Oh my goodness! What an exciting time for as a Canadian, and my son, massive Messi fan. Growing up, we never watched any sport. The only time we ever watched football, soccer, as a family was the Euro 96 final, which was the devastating moment that Gareth Southgate missed a penalty and England lost and were out of the competition. And England, it was the summer of love in England, and then it was all over. And Gareth Southgate is actually now the manager of the England soccer team, and he is going through various trials and tribulations with them now, which we will get to. Anyway, so Argentina. So where we were, Thursday, June 20th, 8 p.m, Argentina versus Canada. What an amazing game. And let's face it, it's Argentina. One of the best teams in the world, playing Canada. We're new to this. We're a new country. We're new to soccer. Our team's great. I love them to bits. But, so to only lose 2-0 to Argentina with Messi playing, that to me is like a win. I also became aware of a player on the Canada team. Obviously, Alphonso Davies, true hero, actually bought his autobiography at Indigo at the weekend. Oh no, biography actually. It's written by someone else. Can't wait to learn more about this absolute hero, legend. But I learned about Jacob Schaffelberg. Do you all know about Jacob Schaffelberg? He is from Nova Scotia, and his nickname is the Maritime Messi. So soccer fans in Nova Scotia have been calling him the Maritime Messi for a long time. So the Maritime Messi, Jacob Schaffelberg, who is from, I believe, Kentville, Nova Scotia, he got to play against the real Messi. I know, what an incredible thing. Anyway, I'm going to be getting in touch with Jacob Schaffelberg's people to see if he's interested and available in a photo shoot / interview with the Maritime Edit magazine. The Maritime Edit interviewing the Maritime Messi. It's a match made in heaven. So, obviously, Canada have played since, well, this Friday, July 5th, Canada are playing Venezuela. Canada did draw at the weekend, didn't they? And they become the first nation since, so they are through to the next round. So congratulations, Canada. It has to be said, just to be clear though, they got through not on a technicality as such, because it's all about points and everything else. Canada are now the first nation since Mexico in 2001 to advance to knockout stage by scoring only one goal. Which to me, there is nothing more Canadian than that, right? That would be a good tagline. Canada, celebrating underachievement since 1867. I jest, obviously. I love our sense of pride. I love the fact that Canada lose. And, I mean, you should watch the footage, by the way. So England did actually win on... when did they play? Sunday. And... They won, but when it got to 90 minutes, they were 1-0. It was 1-0 to Venezuela, whatever team it was. No, not Venezuela. That's what Canada playing. It was England were losing. So all the kind of like, arrogant, just like British soccer fans that were storming out of the stadium, and there's all this footage of them storming out, going, "Oh, fuck England, useless share of shite, what a load of bollocks!" And what they then missed was England then scoring 2 more goals and actually winning in a truly incredible comeback. But what is so funny is check out, after England's draw last week, look at the headlines on British newspapers. It just, dozens of British newspapers are all slagging off. Every single headline is like, share of shite, what a load of bollocks, nonsense, useless, layabeds, scum. Right? It's all just, we hate you, our national team. And here in Canada, like, we can lose. And we're like, oh, well, okay, come on in, eh? Do it. Jolly good, boys. Great job, eh? Nice one, eh? Come on, yeah. Love you. Right? I mean, it's so interesting how different these two nations are. So in Canada, we are celebrating the fact that Canada have scored 1 goal and have managed to get through to the next round. Meanwhile, in England, they're literally just shitting all over their national team, slagging off every newspaper, because again, they have newspapers there, dozens of them. It's an interesting thing. Anyway, sorry, moving on. So that was Thursday night. We watched that game. Friday, which was the 21st of June, took Dad to Garden Grove so we could sample the delights there, the smoothies, delicious coffee, doner, walked around Rossay Trails, Hillside Trail. It was River's, my son's last day at K Park Elementary School, so we went there for a special slideshow with all his classmates. I was kind of happy my dad was there actually, to obviously be there to experience it, but also just to kind of, I think I would have been in floods of tears. We've been a part of that, of Kenneth Casey's Park Elementary School for basically close to 10 years. And, Hunter going there, River, Mrs. McCracken has been the boys' principal for a decade. What an absolute hero of a woman she is. She is, of course, the cousin of Mayor Adam Lorden, director and star of Brit Out of Water, well-known TV producer, but also Mayor of Miramichi. Because, of course, everyone is actually a cousin of... I believe Mrs. McCracken to be the Kevin Bacon of the Maritimes. There was a period where every single gig, wedding, event, launch, party I went to, someone came up to me and said, I'm the cousin of Sharon McCracken. I'm the cousin of Adam Lorden. Actually, I think there's a story about this in my book where a gentleman gave me a jar of lobsters and said, I'm a cousin of Sharon McCracken, here's some lobsters. I ate the whole jar, and then he revealed to me that was 5 Lobster's in there. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so thank you to all of the teachers at K Park Elementary for making the last 10 years so wonderful. And thank you, Mrs. Landry, who has been my son's teacher for the last year. You are all heroes and will be sorely missed. We then took my dad to Fredericton. We took him to a piece of cake, the beautiful, beautiful Parisian patisserie on York Street. Anyway, for a delicious cake and a coffee, and then he got to watch River play soccer for the first time, which was amazing. And then on the we're driving back that brutal road, that horrible road from Fredericton to St. John that I've done 50 gazillion times, and my wife was kindly doing the drive, and my dad sees this big fence up, and he's checking the map, and he's learning about Gage Town and the army and military and all that. And my dad asked the question, do you see moose along here? And we're like, well, we've never seen a moose along here, and that's why the fence is there, because there used to be lots of accidents. And we told him the story about the only time I've ever actually seen a moose, which is true, was in Bucktouche, I believe. I was in a lake, swimming in a lake, and a moose was also in the lake, washing itself. I know. Anyway, we made the point that, and you can't make this up, we made the point that we'd never actually seen a moose on that horrific road. Thank goodness. Literally within 3 seconds, my dad goes, look over there, behind the fence is a bloody moose. I mean, if that happened in one of those TikTok, big bot, lick lock, flip flop videos, you would go, no, that is baloney nonsense. That wouldn't happen. If you saw it happen in a sitcom, you would say, but it literally happened. In 10 years of doing that road, possibly on average once a week, I've never seen a moose on that road. My dad says, have you ever seen a moose? We say, no, you never do. Second later, he sees a moose. Basically 24 hours later, and you can see this on TikTok because I did video this moment. 24 hours later, we are driving to Dorchester for me to do the gig at the Thirsty Whippet pub at Ladysmith Manor, and more on that shortly. Well, no, I'll move more on that now. I'll tell you more about that right now. But 24 hours later, my father-in-law, is driving this amazing Cadillac that we were loaned for the week that my dad was here. And we're driving along, and my dad is asking the question, how much of my jokes about New Brunswick are actually based on truth. At that exact point, we see half a dozen four-wheelers on a highway the wrong way. I know. And amazingly, I managed to capture it on video. So if you want to see that on TikTok, I know this video, it's weird. I work really hard on making like stand-up routines that I work on for weeks, months, years, and then we film them, and then Tyler Warren Ellis spends months editing and honing them, and you put them up and they hardly get any views. And then you make just a short video of your dad in the car and a four-wheeler on a highway the wrong way, and it goes like Maritimes viral simply because there's dozens, hundreds of people writing in the comments, you wanker, they're not on the highway, they're on the side of the road, they're supposed to be there, that's a trail. It's weird. Like, what makes a video go viral is just millions of people calling me a stupid, ignorant wanker. I know. And it was so Saturday, but that's what we did Saturday. We drove to Ladysmith Manor. Now, I've ranted and raved and rambled about Ladysmith Manor on here before. For the uninitiated, Ladysmith Manor, an amazing, beautiful, gorgeous manor in the small town of Dorchester, I believe, which has a population of like 300 people. Obviously, more when the prison was there. I believe Noel Winters went to prison there. Anyway, Dorchester, for those of you that don't know, it's near Moncton, Sackville. It's about less than about an hour and 50-minute drive from St. John. Miriam Wells, a visionary, and her amazing, brilliant, kind, wonderful husband, Stephen. She is British. He is, I believe, from Moncton. They were living in Kelowna, BC, when they moved to New Brunswick, I believe right before COVID, and bought this gorgeous manor with the hope of doing it up. And of course, COVID hit and all these crazy things have happened. And it is now open. They have created what is essentially a Downton Abbey style manor, world class in every way. They have opened a British pub, which, as many of you know, because every week when I put out that I want questions asked on this podcast, I always get asked the same question. What do you miss about England? And please keep asking questions, don't get me wrong. But I think possibly some people asking the questions are asking questions that don't actually listen to the podcast, because every single week I answer it. And the only thing I miss about England really is British pubs. I mean, so watching the England football games, the Euro games. I know my friend Tolo, you listen to this podcast. I know you too also listen. Tolo also lived in London, and he now lives in Marseille here too. He's a wonderful gentleman. And I see on Facebook you're in a new relationship, Tolu. So congratulations. I hope you are both extremely happy, and I hope you and I get to spend some time in a pub soon here in New Brunswick watching soccer. Anyway, the Thirsty Whippet pub was opened by Miriam and Stephen at Ladysmith Manor. So long story short, the official opening was me doing a show there, and the timing aligned that I was getting to do the show while my dad was here. So crucially, my first time doing a show, in London, you do a lot of pub gigs, regardless of how big a comedian you are. You do a lot of pub gigs, but when you're starting out, you do a lot. I haven't really done a true proper pub gig in about 10 years. My dad hasn't seen me perform live in more than 15 years. He hasn't seen me perform. But the last time he did, it was in a pub function room, kind of like this one, with lots of every single chair, a different style of chair. So I was somewhat nervous about the gig, because, it's there's not stage lighting, and it's, a function room, and also there was a lot in the package that I believe the ticket prices were quite high, because Miriam had also organised an amazing cream tea and Pim's cocktails, and it was a huge whole British experience, and it attracted so many lovely people I'd met before, old friends like Bet and Stan, who've come to shows before, lovely Jen and Dwayne, who of course many of you know, came to see me live on their first date, and I helped with their engagement, and indeed I spoke at their wedding as well, and they brought some amazing friends who, a beautiful couple who the lady was celebrating her birthday, and the gentleman had the world's greatest laugh. There was also other people at the gig who I met. Some people had driven from Pugwash, Nova Scotia, which is basically near Fox Harbour. I'm like, how and why did you hear about this show or me, and why have you driven all that way? And it turned out that the world-class, award-winning, genius, kind, beautiful, talented musician Christina Martin lives near them, told them about me, and said, go to a gig. And so they drove for whatever it is, 3 hours to come to this show. So, point of it is this. I'm nervous and it's a hot night, and I'm obviously all tucked up. And my dad's seeing me for the first time in 15 years. And I'm thinking, oh my God, imagine how this goes down. Imagine if this gig goes south. This goes bad. And my dad's going back to England going, he was shite in 2005 and he's shite in 2004. He has not improved one iota. Now, luckily, that didn't happen. I would tell you if it did. It was, again, I don't want to be, unduly, I don't want to be falsely modest. But I'm also it was a fucking barnstormer. I'm gonna be straight with it. It was one of the most enjoyable gigs I have had. I'd forgotten how great the intimacy of a tiny pub gig when you've got, 60, 70, 80 people packed in a room, where some of them are on stage with you, sitting in chairs on stage, and you can literally just go off on 1,000 different tangents, riffs, improv, crowd work. I've kind of forgotten that. Anyway, point being, there's going to be a lot more shows at Ladysmith Manor. I'm going to be doing a lot more gigs there. I think I'm supposed to be speaking to Miriam this week. Oh, the pub, by the way, is beautiful. Because I was working, I actually couldn't even enjoy a beer, so I can't tell you what the beer's like, other than to say that everyone I know who had a pint there, which is my father-in-law and my father, and everyone else said it was amazing and delicious. They were serving Sussex ice cream. The details, there was so many details. The rooms have old school copper bars in them, but then state of the art like sinks and mirrors and toilets, and it's basically Downton Abbey with modern. I don't know if anyone knows Babington House in England, Babington House, Soho House, luxury. They've pulled that off. They've created a Soho House style. So they obviously do weddings there. They do events. So anyway, the gig went great. What a buzz! Oh my goodness! And yeah, my dad got to see it. Just felt really good and nice, and it's nice when a plan goes together. And my son's there, my beloved father-in-law, my beloved father, all in this room together with some of the nicest people, best audience ever. And I'm hugely grateful to Miriam and Stephen for making this event happen, and wonderful Corinne, who was there helping them out. Corinne is, of course, famously the Maritimes maven. If you don't follow her blog and all of her social media posts, you really must do. She is one of the true ambassadors for the Maritimes and indeed all of Atlantic Canada, and you should follow her. And I believe she did a post about the show and the event. But anyway, look out for Google Ladysmith Manor, follow them, follow the Thirsty Whippet pub, and get to Dorchester soon. And I'll obviously let you know when I'm doing another show there. Shows. Before I carry on, I'll just tell you shows this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, I'm doing Long Bay Brewery in Rothesay. I believe there's literally just 4 tickets left. It's Independence Day in America, 4th of July. I've got new jokes about Biden and Trump that I wouldn't dare say on this podcast on a public platform, because I don't want to be. I don't want Trump after me, to be honest. I don't mind, but I wouldn't mind. Let's say what you like about Biden. You wouldn't mind him being after you, would you? You wouldn't mind if my dreams are listening. If next time I'm on the run for something, or someone's out to kill me or murder me, same thing, kill or murder. Why did I say kill or murder? If someone's out to get me, please, dreams, make it Joe Biden. I would like that would be quite a fun movie to make, a movie where I'm the fugitive and Joe Biden plays the Tommy Lee Jones character. Anyway, moving on. Sunday. My dad was feeling the jet lag at this point, so just took him to Indigo so we could kind of experience what St. John's do on a Sunday. Go to Indigo, and then we sat around and we watched movies. We did panini stickers. Monday we had an outing on some trains, on some old trains, and I will just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to my friends Adam and Andrew who made that happen. They literally, just take it from me, made my father as a rail enthusiast's dream come true. And it was possibly one of the finest experiences I've ever had with my father and my son. And but we weren't trained out, because we then checked with Matt Landry and the great people at the Rail NB Facebook group, and we got some timings for some trains in Hampton, because my dad was determined to see a train go past the gorgeous old train station, which is now a tourist office. Two of my dad's favourite things, old train stations and tourist offices, and the fact that two things were combined. So we went there, got a picture of the train going through, past the Hampton train station, then went to, there's a beautiful ice cream shop there that's just opened, and I meant to note the name, but anyway, right there by the play park in Hampton, facing that gorgeous cafe that everyone loves. So then we went to Hampton Brewing Company and sat outside there, and that was just, as we know, Hampton Brewing Company is an awesome place. Awesome. I bumped into my friend Tyler Steves there, and it was nice to check out the glorious outside space where Ethan and I will be performing in a few weeks at Hampton Brewing Company, by the way. And of course, we've also got Yip Cider shows coming up this month too. Anyway, so then we got home, watched the Oilers and Panthers game, covered that 2-1, sinking feeling. Like I said, it was a bit like it was like the, but back to on the Trump and Biden thing, right? Obviously now everyone is, after those 90 excruciating minutes, people are saying like it's time. Biden needs to step down. There's all these other, I don't know how this works, like this late stage, like to introduce, I know there's other candidates they've mentioned, like other Democratic talent, like I believe it's the Michigan governor, is it Gretchen Whitmer? Apologies for that. Freudian slip. Oi. And then there's in California there's Gavin Newsom, but of course what a rush that's going to be to kind of get someone in. I heard that there was talk of like Obama like stepping in and going, all right, I'll take over from here. But of course Biden would probably never let that happen, because let's face it, Obama's done that to him before when he was or maybe Michelle Obama could run. She would have a good chance. Even the Clintons, both the Clintons came up and said, we're gonna step in. We'll do this. We'll do the double. But of course, then there's baggage there, obviously. Hell, even Monica Lewinsky should run. Monica Lewinsky should be the Democratic candidate. I mean, if you've ever had the pleasure, or what, so to speak, of watching Monica Lewinsky's TED Talk, highly intelligent woman, of course. Why wouldn't she be? But Monica Lewinsky has seen. Let's face it. The problem with the world right now is arrogant men effing things up. It's why the world got in a bad state. It's why the world's in a bad state. It's why the world's going to keep getting worse. Let's get a woman who is by all accounts and seemingly highly intelligent, has been treated so appallingly and unjustifiably appalling. Because let's not forget, she didn't choose to. I mean, she chose to, but she, well, if it was consent. Anyway, she did not choose public office and got put through the ringer, dragged through the trenches, she was basically pretty much been, in terms of like public shamings, I would say that she would be up there with like the Salem witches in how deplorably she was treated by us, the public, B, the media, C, the men in the chat shows. Monica Lewinsky, if anyone knows how to deal with the cock-up that men have created in this world, it is Monica Lewinsky. So, anyway, moving on from that, Canada, what happened next? I'm trying to remember where I went. So, that was all. That was great. That was... Then Tuesday we went to the Algonquin, and like I said, we arrived in the Southwest Business Summit. Was all kicking off, so it's kind of weird mind melt of a moment where I'm there being reunited with my uncle and godfather after 2 decades. I mean, my dad's first time here in 10, and I'm arriving at in this conference that I'm performing at on the Thursday that I is all in full swing, and of course, being obviously a New Brunswick conference, I kind of know lots of the people. So I'm seeing all the friends that, people that I know and admire. Mayor Allen, the wonderful mayor of St. Stephen, Mayor Brad Henderson. Anyway, so we get there. We get to Algonquin. It's also my dad's birthday, I should point out, on this day. It's my dad's 73rd birthday. So we're arriving at the Algonquin. It's my dad's 73rd birthday. Uncle Louis arrives. We have dinner. Very quick shout out to all of the new and amazing team at the Algonquin. They're making improvements all the time, and of course we all love the Algonquin. I've always enjoyed going there, but the menu is even better than ever. All of the activities they're organising for kids, all of these little details. Hats off to the new GM Stephen, and had an absolute pleasure of meeting his team. So a wonderful dinner, great meal. Next day, took my dad and uncle to the Raison d'Etre, the highlight of the trip, my favourite place in the world. I've said it before. You can't say that I haven't said it before because I've said it. Kingsbury Garden. I think I can safely say right now, I don't really have time to kind of come up with funeral plans and wills and that kind of stuff. But if you're listening, people, I will say that I would like my ashes or body. So we don't want my body there. My ashes sprinkled, if it's allowed. Don't want to be causing any problems for the crops, the flowers. But I think after I die, I would like my ashes sprinkled at Kingsbury Garden. Favourite place in the world. So got to share it with my uncle who loves lobster. My uncle basically was coming all the way from North Carolina. So 2 planes, a 3-hour drive, dialysis in a hospital for 3 hours, then coming over the border, comes to Algonquin, huge expense, huge effort. He's not very mobile. He was coming solely because I said the greatest lobster roll in the world was the lobster croissant made by the legend, the genius, the hero, the world-class culinary maestro that is Chef Alex Haun. And I told my uncle this 2 years ago, and that's when this trip was planned. So there's a lot of pressure on this. It's my dad's birthday kind of celebration. And oh my word, did Chef Alex Haun pull it out of the bag. And also just hats off to the food and beverage manager, Alex Murillo at Kingsbury Garden, for making it so special. Gave us our favourite table. We're outside. It's an outside table that is covered by a tree. If you do want that table when you go and eat at Savour in the Garden, aka the Garden Cafe at Kingsbury Garden, just ask for the Mullinger table. That's what it's going to be called from now on. Chef Alex Haun, true gentleman, and congratulations to Chef Alex and his beautiful, brilliant, equally skilled and just all-round genius wife, Chelsea Bellier, on the birth of their daughter. They now have 3 gorgeous children, and truly 2 of my favourite people in the world, and now 5 of my favourite people in the world. Anyway, congratulations to them. Chef Alex Haun came out to greet and meet my uncle and father. Then asked if he could surprise us with something, and we said, of course. He then brings this new dish that he has just created, which was it's essentially a lobster tagliatelle dish, but it is out of this world. Long story short, after feasting on the lobster tagliatelle, created, maestroed by the king, Chef Alex Haun himself, my uncle and I then devoured our lobster croissants, and he did agree after, my uncle must be 75, I guess, if my dad was 73, turning 73. My uncle Louis agreed that after 7 decades of traveling the world, eating lobster, that I was indeed correct, spot on, nailed the world's greatest lobster roll, Chef Alex Haun. Give it up for Chef Alex Haun. You did it, mate. You absolutely knocked it out of the park. The level of expectation that there was there. Can you imagine the stress I was feeling? That my uncle, very unmobile. A, we haven't seen each other in 2 decades, so I don't want to screw up at all. B, like I say, that's a hell of a trip. When you need dialysis every 3 days and you take 2 planes, drive for 3 hours, all because your godson / nephew said the best lobster roll in the world, and it's his brother / my dad's birthday. Anyway, boom. At the end of the meal, later that day, we were feasting actually at the equally amazing Chandler Inn at the Treadwell Room. And thank you, Christy, by the way, for making that so special. Beautiful view. I suggested something lobster, and my uncle Louis said, "I'm all lobstered out." There you go, Chef Alex Haun. You're lobstered out. The world's biggest lobster lover. We then also had a tour of the Kingsbury Garden, and thank you to beautiful, brilliant Shelley for showing us around. Just perfect time. Anyway, the sun was out, gorgeous. And again, all of this is going on while this amazing conference is going on, which again, I cannot wait to attend next year. It's so weird that this timing of this conference, it coincides with this trip that we've been planning. So that night, as I say, we ate at Treadwell Inn. Hats off to everyone at Treadwell Inn. Gorgeous. My uncle did the Quaddy Link Marina whale watching, which again was amazing. I did it last year with my friend comedian Shane Ogden. We had a great walk on Water Street. I think my dad was kind of surprised / in England, I did okay at stand-up, but generally people didn't kind of stop me in the street to kind of say, like what you do. It happened once in a while, but it wasn't very often. So he, I think, enjoyed kind of seeing that in St. Andrews, people kindly coming up. And because, no one's bugging you. People are just coming up just to be kind and say nice things. And that was a wonderful thing. And St. Andrews, I talk about it a lot. I think it's where I would love to retire. It's where I'd love to live now. But St. Andrews just nails everything, and it was perfect. So, yeah, like I say, Braxton's new menu. Shout out, by the way, to Michael, one of the many amazing chefs, the Algonquin. Beautiful man. What amazing omelettes. World's greatest omelettes made by Michael at the Algonquin. So then it was the big day. The Thursday comes around, which is the day of my keynote. So, like I say, Hannah Levitt has booked me to do this Southwest Business Summit. It's the closing keynote. Oh no, it's the gala dinner keynote, because Chef Michael Smith was doing the closing keynote the following morning. So this is like New Brunswick's biggest business conference event, I think, ever, or of the year. But runaway success. Like, they didn't expect this. Like, so every single thing sold out. Chef Michael sold out. The gala dinner sold out. Hannah Levitt, what a hero. Every single time I tried to give her a compliment, she kept saying to me, and it's a team effort. And of course, she did have a team, and there was millions of amazing volunteers and colleagues and people behind this. But the one thing everyone else on her team did consistently say to me was it was mostly her. So I was very excited about doing this closing keynote at this gala dinner. It was an award ceremony celebrating amazing people in the Southwest business community, and hats off to all the winners and all the nominees, and indeed everyone in that room. Brad Henderson came up to accept the award for Kira. Congratulations to Kings Bay International Residence for the Arts. Again, I'm a huge fan, so it's wonderful to see that. And I worked really hard on making this keynote very special. I knew I wanted to incorporate stand-up. I had the amazing Pierre Bertin introducing me, which made it a wonderful way to start. I was very nervous. I was also feeling, I don't know whether it was heat stroke or exhaustion, but I was nervous going up on that stage. I also couldn't seem to cool down. The heat of the day, had a dry mouth, and I thought it's hard to time these things because, as you know, I tailor my keynotes specifically for each and every show, event, conference, AGM, whatever it is I do. I write them specifically, and sometimes you get the timing right. I did overrun a bit, and I feel like I possibly could and should and would have tightened it up a bit. In that, they sat down for dinner at 7. Amazing awards, amazing Pierre on stage, and then I came on at 9. I think I possibly did close to an hour and a half, which is too long, I think, for an after dinner keynote. That said, no one left. They laughed and clapped throughout, and again, not one to blow my own trumpet. It did result in a full house standing ovation, which again, thank the Lord for that, because again, my uncle's never seen me perform, and I know it wasn't stand up, but it was speaking. But he's never seen me perform at all. So it would have been, I had it again in my head that, oh my goodness, my uncle's going to come and it's going to go badly and he's going to leave and go, oh, my nephew's a useless, unfunny piece of shit. And again, even though my dad had seen me do well on the Saturday, I've still now got it in my head that, well, now it's going to go bad because the gods won't want me to do well twice in a week. It's not easy being in my head, I tell you. So I tried to really get the message across, which was, again, something which I know goes behind the whole ethos of the Southwest Business Summit, that movies and literature and art, and you watch these things, they try and kind of suggest that anyone can achieve greatness if you're from a small town, but that in order to do it, you have to leave. That is generally any movie, book, film, play, poem, opera, ballet, story of any creative, narrative-driven story. That, on the rare occasion that they will show love or shine a light on small towns, it is always like, you can be from anywhere. You can be from anywhere. You can be great from anywhere. Look at this kid. He came from nothing, but he became great when he got the fuck out of Dodge, right? And that, to me, goes against it, because my thing is that, okay, greatness, if by greatness you mean fame, but I don't know it. I mean, I guess I have friends in the industry. I mean, but I'm not really even part of the industry. I'm a complete outsider in what I do, because I just do it. What I do is grassroots. I'm not part of a comedy industry. I go out and do shows, and it's organic. I have no one managing me, guiding me, telling me what to do, telling me to do this gig because that'll get me this gig. I just do shows, and people come or they don't come. And if they come, then I can afford to put food on the table. And if they don't come, then I can't. So anyway, this whole greatness, you can achieve greatness if you're from a small town as long as you escape. All a lie. Greatness is secured every single day in small towns, because everyone that is doing anything kind to someone else, anyone who the coaches that I see coaching my sons at rugby or hockey or soccer, they are all heroes. The man that did this thing for you yesterday, the woman that did this for you yesterday, someone that did something nice for you yesterday or today or this morning, it's the opposite of that mindset of like, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. It's like, no. You can do that. All your heroes are in your community, and celebrating them is basically essentially what I live to do. I talked about this in the keynote, how I guess that, I don't know if you all know the story about how I discovered that the sister of the nurse who delivered me in England lives a few doors down lives very near to me here in the Kennebec Valley. And there is the story of this online. I tell the story in keynotes, and it's also in my book. And the point of, sorry, I've gone off the board a bit here. And I just realized, I am seriously rambling. We're not going to get to the questions this week. How about this? Here's a deal for you. This week, because I didn't do one last week, I'm going to do two this week. I'm going to finish, go through everything I've done this week, get it up to date, get us up to speed. But then I'm going to do another bonus podcast later this week that will be solely me answering your questions. So that is, I guess, if you didn't get your questions in time, and you're listening to this today, Wednesday, the 3rd of July, and you want to ask me a question for this week's podcast, this Friday, there'll be another podcast out. How's that? You can't say fairer than that. Welcome. Lovely, jubbly, sweet as a night. Anyway, so my point is I hate that. You can't make an omelette without bacon and eggs. It's like, no, screw you. Being an egomaniac who smashed many eggs to make $1 million does not make you a hero. It makes you a prick, right? True greatness is really simply born out of kindness. And so my point of the keynote was just trying to highlight the ways in which our communities are full of those people. And that's why I love delivering these keynotes. I love the fact that Hannah Levitt created a business summit that was really about, of course, it's about survival and productivity, but it's not about greed or profit. It's about community spirit and people working together. And that was the overall feeling that I felt in that summit. And I hope that next year Hannah will be kind enough to have me back in some capacity. If not, I will just simply be there buying a ticket and enjoying it. So that was the week with my father. On Friday, it was the day of the big farewell. We drove back from the Algonquin, and we had time to fulfill my father's final wish, and that was he wanted to do 3 things that we hadn't done that were on his list. One was go to Loyalist City Coins. And we did get to go to the Coin Cabinet and see amazing Steve and his awesome family, Steve Small, which was another thing on our list, which we managed to squeeze in. And we went to Loyalist City Coins and Books. My dad had a wonderful chat with the owners there. I didn't realize they're online, that they do not do any online, which is why the stock in there is so phenomenally spectacular. If you're one of the people that has written to me ever to say, where do I get all my, I have, by the way, hundreds of like vintage New Brunswick guidebooks. My dad sells guidebooks for a living. That's what his job, his job is. He drives around England selling vintage books and guidebooks. And I collect vintage New Brunswick guidebooks, but they were mostly from Loyalist City Coins and Books. Many purchased by myself, many purchased by my friends Tyler and Shell before me as Christmas and birthday gifts. Anyway, we had a lovely dig around the shop there. Dad was just absolutely blown away. Said it was one of the best collector shops in the world, which is true. And you can read actually about all, I think I mentioned this before, that in the Maritime Edit new issue, every single Atlantic Canadian bookstore is featured in there. I visited them all and I've written about it. So his 3 final wishes were visit Loyalist City Coins, and he'd been there when they had their old location on Canterbury Street. Canterbury? I think it was on Canterbury. No, Germain Street. He went there 20 years ago. Obviously, they moved now to buy the R Bar opposite Freddy's famous pizza, opposite Heroes Beacon, next to the Secret Police Bar, which is there. And he also wanted to visit St. Paul's Church in Rosse. He actually wanted to go to a service there, but actually, unfortunately, wasn't feeling up to it on the Sunday. He was here, so alas, we weren't able to. He slept in and was very jet-lagged and feeling a bit feverish, so wasn't able to go, unfortunately. But he got to go and look at the church, take some pictures of it. He also finally wanted to take a picture of the Rosse post office because he loves post offices and he hears me talk a lot about Corey at the post office, and indeed our late friend John Porter, who we all missed dearly. We then took my dad to the airport, said goodbye. He's English and he's a bit, he's English, so he thinks you've got to be there like 3 hours before the flight. He doesn't realise that St. John Airport, you get there 10 minutes before the flight and you still have time for 3 pints of Long Bay in the bar before you go through security. Anyway, I then, sad emotional thing. Your father comes, visit first time week with the family, with the kids, saying farewell. It's an emotional roller coaster of a week. It really is. I've also, and then of course it's over, and you're swirling with all kinds of different emotions. And then also you've got I've also now got the stress and the pressure that I'm feeling of being behind on work, being behind on writing, being behind on this podcast. So I cheered myself up with one of my favourite dishes in the world. I know I've said I talked a lot about the GG Don Air a lot, so I'm going to hit you with another recommendation. Jan de Beauville, Jan and his family, amazing family, entrepreneurs, who own the both the cafe and bar and duty free at St. John Airport. They also own other businesses, but Jan is a wonderful, wonderful man. His wife or chef or whoever it is that is doing this, they make the most amazing chicken salad sandwich that is on sale at YSJ. So whenever I'm dropping someone off or picking someone up, but generally dropping someone off and feeling sad that, you know, a friend or family member is leaving, I always cheer myself up with a chicken sandwich from Jan's. And they're pre-made. They make them there, and they're there anyway. So then, that was the other funny thing. Was on the way back from the Algonquin on the driving back on the Friday morning. My dad and I are driving along, and then CBC Radio, the debaters comes on, and it's me and Heidi Brander's local newspapers debate that we recorded in Halifax at the Neptune Theatre last June. One of my favourite ever debates. Heidi Brander, one of my favourite ever comedians. If you haven't heard her album, you should listen to it. I should also say massive condolences to the Brander family. Don Brander was and will always be remembered as a true hero of the local newspapers, as one of the founders of, I believe, the PEI Guardian, an absolute hero of modern newspaper man, a family man, a community leader, and tragically we lost Don Brander a few weeks ago, and condolences to the whole Brander family. So yeah, after my dad left on the Friday, obviously on the Saturday, I believe it was Saturday, Canada played again, and they played. Did they play against Chile? And it was a nail-biting 0-0 draw. Quite a dreary outcome. And obviously Sunday was the big England-Slovakia game. I honestly feel like I've wasted my life not watching sports. Like growing up, I used to think, I mean, again, like I've mentioned before, I felt like it was pointless. I associated sports with just bullies and aggression and violence, and I haven't realized that it is true, proper escapism, which is why when you read it's the ultimate escapism. When I'm watching sports now, whether it's watching Canada or watching England or whatever I'm watching my kids play, it's the ultimate escapism, and it's artistry, and it's physical fitness, and it's mental prowess, and it's skills, and it's chess, and it's all these things. And it's why I didn't used to read people write about, but when you read a journalist write about, reading in the Guardian about the games, it feels like they're writing about life and death, which I guess to many people they are. Like the headline after this game was like Gareth Southgate, who's the captain I mentioned, issues rallying cry with remainder of Euro 96 struggles. England manager recalls tough moments. He has attempted to rally the nation behind his England team at Euro 2024 with a reminder that the memories of Italia 90 and Euro 96 have become more cherished and overlook the difficulties experienced at the time. Sounds like he's talking about war. Southgate knows that all the teams will suffer, but while they remain alive, they have the possibility to write a glorious script, particularly if they can get behind potential turning points. Jude Bellingham provided one against Slovakia with his 95th minute bicycle quick equaliser, which prefaced Harry Kidd's extra time winner. If you didn't watch that game, watch these highlights. Oh my goodness. It was just absolutely unbelievable. I wasn't feeling well, but I made it out for a little walk around a trail with my wonderful nephews, Jordan and Josh. Watched Coldplay at Glastonbury, which, by the way, if you like Coldplay, you may not know this, but Coldplay was being streamed. It's Coldplay live at Glastonbury. I believe it's their 5th time headlining Glastonbury Festival, streamed free all over the world. So, and then it was obviously Canada Day, which I've mentioned, and now we're up to date. So that was everything I've been through. This is officially the longest ever episode of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. I can't thank you enough for sticking with it. Like I say, I'll be back later this week to answer all of your questions. So thank you for sending those questions. Please don't be disappointed if you've listened to an hour and 13 minutes of this ramble to get to your questions, because they will be answered. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for listening. I've been Mullinger. You've been you. This has been the Weekly Ramble. It's not the bi-weekly ramble. Although this week, I suppose it is the bi-weekly ramble if by bi-weekly we're going for the meaning of twice a week. So this week it is the bi-weekly ramble if by bi-weekly you mean twice a week, but not if you mean bi-weekly every 2 weeks, because what the hell's going on with the English language? How does anyone learn this language? How on earth does anyone learn English? I don't know. You don't know. Thanks for listening. I will see you later this week when we get out the second episode of this week's twice weekly episode of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. Thanks for listening. Love you very much. Email me comedy@jamesmullinger.com if you have any questions. I will see you and you will hear me later this week. I really appreciate you. I've missed you guys and I've missed this. Thanks for listening. Lots of love. Bye.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.